Hello everyone, and welcome to the next in this little mini series of bindings, cursings and hexings. So in the first one I talked about bindings, and in this one I'm going to say about unbinding, just so that we complete the circle. So, unbinding. If it's one of your own spells, then that's going to be relatively easy because you're just going to undo it. You're going to reverse it by undoing what you did. So for a knot spell, you're going to undo each knot, perhaps saying the name of the person, I unbind you. In a freezer spell, and I did cover this in the first video, yes I did, because you've got it in water, depending on what paper you've used, as you defrost it, the water will automatically mush up the paper, and then you can just throw it down the toilet. If it hasn't, if you've used a stronger paper, then you can just rip it into small pieces. Again, just saying, I unbind you, the name of the person, I unbind you, and throwing it in the trash or burning it once it's dried. Or just, if you think it's safe to throw it in the toilet, flush it. I would, if I had to rip, I would probably put it in the trash rather than down the toilet, because if it hasn't mushed up with the water as it defrosted, then it's unlikely to. If it was the wrapped up potato, then obviously that's buried somewhere, that's going to rot and do its own thing. If it's one that you've bound up nice and tightly and put in the back of a cupboard somewhere, and you think that it's done its job, the person is now not doing whatever they were doing to misbehave, then you can take it out from the cupboard, explain to the universe as you are undoing the knot and unwrapping the bindings that the spell is done, the person is now safe and away. You could also add in that you'd like them to stay safe and away, just to make sure, and then just dispose of whatever you've used. Again, you can burn it or just throw it in the trash. However, what do you do if you think somebody has put a binding onto you? So how do you know, for a start? And this is why knowledge is important. Whether you do these things, it's important to know about them, because then you can recognize them and you can do something about it. So for me, and Rachel actually says this in her book, Spells and Charms, you know, when you've gone out first thing in the morning and those lovely busy little outdoor spiders have been so busy across your front door, and you walk in and you walk out and you can feel one of their threads, one of their webs has just gone across your face, and you brush it away. Or you're out in the woods and the same thing happens. That's the feeling, but you can't wipe it away. It's there, but it's that subtle that if you're going about in your day, you probably wouldn't even notice it. It's when you tend to be still that you'll suddenly think, oh, something, and you can't move it. It's there. It's very subtle. So in her book, Rachel very kindly tells us what we can do about it. And that is, you will need a small piece of your own hair, 3 candles. Now she suggests 1 red, 1 white, 1 green. Go with whatever colours you have and whichever colours resonate with you for this spell. A cauldron or a fireproof bowl, charcoal disc, loose incense blend for releasing. So where are we? Herbs that Rachel suggests are agrimony, blackthorn, alder, ginger, mullein, nettle, rue, thistle, willow. Now, in one of her other books, The World of Magical Plants, I actually looked up exorcism. Again, you've got angelica, but there's also basil, birch, black pepper, blackthorn, clover, cumin, daffodil, elder again, garlic, heliotrope, horehound, horseradish, juniper, lilac, mint, nettle, peony, rosemary, Solomon's seal, thistle, and yarrow. So for me, I would probably go mint, nettle, and rosemary. One, because they jumped out at me as I was reading. Two, because I know I've got them in my cupboard. So there's your choice. Whatever you've got, you can make your incense from. And a sterile pin. You can just heat that. It's fine. Sorry. So just so that I know what I'm saying. Light the 3 candles. And in your cauldron, light the charcoal. And once it's ready, add the incense. Take the sterile pin and prick your right index finger, squeezing 3 drops of blood onto the top of the incense. Next, get your piece of hair and put that onto the charcoal, and then there's a little chant. So, my blood drops 3. Sorry. Okay. My blood drops times 3. This binding shall no longer be. The hair that burns is part of me. Allow me now to be bind-free. Let the incense burn out and scatter the ashes outside. I would tend to try and do it not in your own garden, but somewhere else. So yeah, lovely, straightforward, simple. You've got the elements all there because you've got your herbs, you've got fire, you've got the smoke for air, water, blood, all in there. You've got the double signature because you've got your own blood and you've got your hair. So yeah, it's nice, it's simple, it's straightforward. Sorry, because I was trying to remember it, and my brain, I can't hold on to more than 3 things at a time. So yeah, sorry, I muddled up the thing, the little chant. But yeah, nice, simple, straightforward chant as well. Obviously, make it your own. It really is. It's you that's being bound. If you know who's done it, unlikely. But if you do know for definite, then you can, as you're undoing it, you can send the energy back to them. I wouldn't personally, I don't think. Simply because you can never be 100% sure who's done the binding, unless you've actually seen them in the process of doing it. And how would you see that happening? Say you were out in a group of friends. May not be magical. It could be a works thing. It could be anything. This is something that I saw a long time ago. And the person doing it wasn't a witch. So it doesn't, I think it's something deep inside us, a memory of some kind. And she was off to one side. It was a works day, study type session thing. And she was off to one side. And I suddenly realised that she because we were all jotting things down in between doing what we were doing, but I suddenly, something made me stop and watch her for a few minutes. And she was watching somebody else in the room. And then she had this small, not her notebook, she had a small piece of paper. And I thought, that's odd. So I just, took myself off to one side and just watched to see what happened. And she wrote something on this piece of paper. And then she sat and she watched this person again. I can see why, because this person was a bit irritating, but that's beside the point. And then she picked this bit of paper up and she started folding it. And she was still watching the person, and she was folding it. And then she started twisting it. This piece of folded up paper. She started twisting it. And then she wrapped it round. Not exactly into a knot, because the paper wasn't big enough to do that. But she wrapped it round, having twisted it, folded it, twisted it, folded it round. And then she put it on the desk. And then she carried on with what she was doing. At the end of the day, I'd stopped behind because I needed to ask a question of the person who was running the day. And when I turned round, I realised that she'd left this bit of paper on the desk. I undid it. I unwrapped the paper. I don't know for definite that it was a binding spell. I just didn't feel comfortable leaving it or just throwing it in the trash. So I actually did put my own protection up before I touched it, and then I picked it up, took it out with me to a bin further down the corridor, and as I unwrapped it, said that whatever had been the intention, I wanted the universe to take that energy and use it in whatever way for the good of all. I don't think she did it intentionally. As I say, she's never identified as a witch. I still work with her, but I didn't feel comfortable. And I don't think she did it intentionally. I think it was just something that it was just, was it a binding spell? I have no real idea. All I know is that I didn't feel comfortable leaving it behind, so I didn't. On that note, on the internet, there are lots of suggestions for unbindings and releasings and all sorts, which I have linked into the blog that you can go look at on the kitchenwitchhearth.net blog site. But yeah, just do a Google search or get Rachel's book. But other than that, I will see you next time for cursings.